started in February. I'm the executive secretary.
I'm now glad.
I'm glad. When is it?
July 17th.
Okay, we have, when is our, I think we'll miss it. We have office hours that we do. They should. So we have office hours on Tuesday the 15th. I can see something say something then.
Sure.
Well, it's online.
I wound up saying
You know what? I think we can still put it in the newsletter because it was sent out to parents. Let me have you put your email in my stuff. Just put your phone number and then put your email in too. And then I can have you send me the flyer and we can put the information and I think we can still make the newsletter.
asked and I don't remember there being so many people there. So
It was pretty awesome to participate in that.
And actually, Katie Alice, who's going to be speaking, she's on her way. She's a good person to get the word out to individually if we can't get them in here. But also keep your information if you guys have anything then you can definitely just reach out to me for stuff in the newsletter and everything.
it's kind of hard to figure out.
Now I feel like it's discussing for temperature or rain.
Hey there. Oh, wonderful. Here, Eli. Eli.
Yeah.
That seems like something. It's incredibly important. It's making better voting argument too, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see who turns out. I hear like from the spectrum. You're gonna hear from people who are supportive of this activity, show up to see like how I can see that. I hear from people who are like, they're radical population. Like, I know it's disturbing. Like those people exist in Santa Fe. I know they don't come tonight because their voices are not strong. So we'll see that it's going to be like a little bit of everybody, and it's going to be up to them to decide how it goes. You know. They're giving us good guidance on how to do stuff, so in my opinion, it's going to be kind of up to them. Creative, productive conversations, I'm glad that all of this happened. All of these actions are
I have an umbrella in my car.
I'm going to borrow.
education world. Imagine like how it's something so it might be
Real quick, my name is Eli Presswood. I really want to appreciate you all for being out. We're gonna give ourselves a couple more minutes because of our limit in the weather. And so just bear with us.
I don't know if they.
I'll grab some stuff out of my own.
I don't know if they furnished it.
I think there's anybody with umbrellas if that's who you're waiting for, but they're waiting. They're just a little more, less fast.
To make a point. Have you seen the existing coffee cups great? Have you seen the existing? It's great. It's like peaceful. Yeah. I feel like that's a great thing, especially for churches. Real community service. Right. They have the perfect spot for it. It's close to a lot of things.
Live streaming's over here, maybe, and then this is for later use.
That's what is good too. Is so we were right next to the fire station. I would have to look at the GIS map, but it's same general area.
You know what? The camera might be something that keeps coming down and it's we might have to wait for a second and then she's trying to get in now.
You might have a guest with a wheelchair, like if we do
Yeah, I was just told that.
I mean,
I'm gonna move everything right now.
okay.
Either way, I'm for it, you know. It has to have some see what comes out.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that can go over.
We got gaffer tape? Yeah. Sweet.
Great question, because we've been having some major issues. Okay, just because she is primarily.
Oh, you mean
Really? So, you got a test your
Yeah,
result?
yes, I met you on the scene.
Good.
So I'm very, I can't convince you. I've tried to literally. So. Yeah. I've tried to talk to him. But he's just convinced me. So I don't know if he's on.
Save your meal is upstairs. I can take you up if you want to
Does it feel
I am not tonight. But there are other
Check.
That's not my fault.
I wrote here.
But the reason why is, there was everything.
You're gonna do both?
I was asked to.
Do you want me to do one?
No, that's fine.
You're just doing it.
I'm just gonna leave this here. This is live.
Like on YouTube right now?
Yeah.
The only problem is we're gonna have a wheelchair run through here.
I watched it happen, so I watched it close scrutiny. Put it down.
Check.
I'm sure there is.
I know where that maybe look fun. I have, I'm just using this one as a test, but I have 10.
But have you issued any?
Just one to Pam. Yeah, she's my main person is over here in community.
So if I know a really great spot and then later, or you guys want to text me and I'll be there whatever you agree with. So later they'll call us out. Just to be able to rock with it. I'm gonna be improvising for the rain. So, we're doing, we're gonna sit over here. Yeah.
Testing. Oh, okay. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. My name is Eli Frescus. I'm here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and part of Disability Pride New Mexico. I want to thank everyone for joining us today and pivoting with the rain. As much as we need rain and love rain, it was a little annoying, but we need it. So I'm just really thankful for the mayor and everyone being very agile in our city and making this work. So thank you. So everyone should have a program for today, and if you don't, let us know. Also on the other side of the program are our Disability Pride Parade, which is scheduled for July 19th. And proud to say that last year was the first in state's history where we had a parade commemorating the Americans with Disabilities Act and celebrating people with disabilities, the community and families. And if it weren't for the mayor, and the support of his team and his leadership, we would not have been able to have the parade. So we want to thank the mayor, city council, and all of his team for all the support. Thank you. Okay, so let's get to it. There's a lot to talk about today. This is the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, thinking a generation of people have grown up and lived under the ADA and the supports and the compliance and the requirements it brings. The ADA is a civil rights statute that supports people with disabilities and is an anti-discrimination law. However, the ADA, like all
other civil rights laws is always under attack, meaning we have to exercise daily. We have to support our communities. We have to reach out to supporters in our neighborhoods and our families to strive for and meet the obligations of the ADA, which isn't always done. So it's both a celebration, but also a call for advocacy and support. And I think if many people have heard about some of the recent legislation that's gone and happened here, there's a lot of work we need to do to continue our community supports. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Weber for some comments and for our opening remarks. Thank you, Mayor Weber.
Welcome, everybody. In some ways, it's too bad we can't be out there raising the flag, but on the other hand, I think this is pretty sweet to be in here, in the council chambers, seated and comfortable and feeling very much at home as a community. So welcome to everybody who came to be part of this today. Eli read my mind a little bit. The parade last year was so phenomenal and such a great achievement. And the fact that we were proud to be the first in the state is it's a terrific accomplishment. But you got one thing wrong. It wasn't the city that did it. It was the community that did it. It really happened because the people in our disability community, people who are themselves handling a disability or family members, friends, employers, colleagues, banded together to make a very important statement about the significance of respecting everyone and including everyone and reaching out to everyone. And I still remember that parade, Eli, where I was walking along and he and I were working on chants. We were working on some good chants to lead, and then we were just talking about some of the assumptions that people make about the nature of a disability. And I can recount to you that the conversation was fairly philosophical. It was fun, and we were having a wonderful celebration, but we were thinking about what happens in life that we can't control. What happens in life that is handed out, whether you anticipate it or not? What happens in life inevitably as we deal with age or just life in general? The answer is, somewhere along the way, everybody will find a disability in their lives. It's not the unusual part of life, it's the usual part of life. And we somehow in our minds treat it as the exception rather than the rule, when it ought to be seen as this is the way life is, and we should accept everyone's need for some kind of help, everyone's need for some kind of special accommodation, everyone's need for some kind of support, and make that just a matter of fact for everybody. I think some of the conversations in these in parades are not about, oh, look at that beautiful tree. It's about, let's talk about things that matter in our lives and how we need to do a better job of recognizing and accommodating and supporting each other as life takes its hand and deals with us as it will. That was a great parade. Today, we have another wonderful celebration and some great speakers. I'm going to stop speaking and read a proclamation. Maybe my colleagues from the City Council who are here, Councilor Garcia, Councilor Cassidy, Councilor Mayor Worth, want to help read a proclamation? Can we do it as a four-part harmony? All right. I think it's more fun than that. Everybody gets a chance to speak up and participate. So I'll kick it off and then we'll just pass it down the line. And Eli already mentioned some of this, but this makes it an official proclamation from the City of Santa Fe. Whereas on July 26, 1990, 35 years ago, the United States Congress enacted the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of disability and declaring that millions of people with disabilities have a right to equality in our nation
And whereas Disability Pride Month coincides with the anniversary of the ADA and expands upon the ADA's message of equality, celebrating the history, achievements, experiences, and challenges, and valuing the immense diversity and strength of the disabled community. And
whereas Disability Pride empowers people with disabilities to define their own identity and self-worth, breaks down stigmas and stereotypes, recognizes their inherent value, serves as means of reshaping false negative perceptions and dismantling ableism, bias, and discrimination, and
whereas recognizing that inclusion and accessibility in both physical and virtual environments with affordable and accessible housing, transportation, healthcare, websites, and more is a matter of social justice and must be inclusive of everyone regardless of ability in order for true progress and necessary change to occur. And
whereas people with disabilities still face daily barriers in our community to participate equally and access opportunities and resources, and often experience discrimination based on having a disability that is compounded with discrimination based on race, gender identity, sexual orientation, immigration status, religion, age, among others,
and whereas the City of Santa Fe values its diverse community and recognizes that disability is a natural part of life that intersects with all other identities and experiences within our community, and strives to include disability equity in order to create an inclusive community through its actions, laws, policies, employees, advisory committees, and governing body. And
whereas we recognize that much work remains to achieve full inclusion and equity, and that Disability Pride Month encourages us to acknowledge the diversity and complexity of issues within the disabled community in order for us to better understand and address continuing ableism, discrimination, barriers, and inequities. Disability Pride Month reaffirms our commitment to take meaningful action to build a city that is inclusive to all.
All right. Well, thank you, my council friends, for participating. I will now get to the punchline. Now, therefore, I, Alan M. Weber, Mayor of the City of Santa Fe, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim July as Disability Pride Month.
Thank you, Mayor Weber. Thank you, city councilors. Okay, so brief remarks from city council members. Putting you on the spot, city council members.
Well, I didn't prepare any remarks, but I guess just hearing the proclamation, I'm surprised that it, the rights for the disability community is only 35 years old. I'm thankful that it's 35 years in law, but these laws should have been enacted much long ago. So with that, just know that you'll have the City of Santa Fe fighting for your cause, for your rights, and we are working towards building what I hope is the most inclusive city in the state. And that comes along with developing not only laws, but appropriating the proper amount of resources needed to develop the infrastructure. For example, I know we're going to be looking at redeveloping this space we're in right now to make it more accessible for folks. And that should not only stop here in the council chambers, but throughout every corner of our community. And so thank you all for showing up. Just know that you have strong champions and advocates with us. And please consider us allies, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
I also did not prepare anything. I always make a joke that we should have canned speeches in our back pocket anytime we go anywhere, but it's
actually better this way because then we get to really think about what we're saying. So I really want to thank you all here. I know we get to stand up here, we get to say the words, but you all are the ones who have really done a lot of the work. And it really does inspire me when I see the amount of passion. Any time that I have interacted with many of you in this room or anybody from the community, it really is inspiring to watch how people make sure that they're speaking up for those who can't speak up for themselves. And I see that so often with this community. So I'm very grateful that you have given us this opportunity because really you all are the reason that we're here today. As the mayor said, you're the reason that the parade happened, that this is occurring is because of that advocacy. Eli, you've done incredible work. You know, we get to interact with you all the time and really truly appreciate that. As well as the advisory committee, all my interactions there, I have come away with new knowledge, a new understanding, and another perspective that I didn't even know I was missing. So I truly appreciate all of that work, that willingness to come and speak up again and again and again and again. As Councilor Garcia stated, you know, we've made some progress and we know that there's still a lot of work to do in the city. And we will continue to do that, of course, with your help and your guidance and your advocacy. So thank you so much.
I don't know that there's much I can add. I agree with my colleagues and the proclamation. I am delighted to have the opportunity to celebrate, to bring us all together, to draw attention on the needs and the work that you all are pointing us toward. We have made some progress. There's a lot more progress to be made. So I really encourage you all to keep on going. It's important work. Thank you, Eli, for kind of leading the way on this and really developing the opportunities to draw attention to this wonderful community, to bring it in and to make us a more inclusive community. And I think I have to say, as we are in the environment we are in nationally, I am forever grateful for the inclusivity that we are experiencing and celebrating and building in this community. So thank you all for the work you do.
Councilors, Mayor, thank you so much. Moving on to guest speakers, I want to introduce Executive Director Greg Trapp. And before him coming up, there's a few people in the state of New Mexico who are not only exceptional lawyers, but disability right advocates and true practitioners in disability rights. And in my opinion, Greg Trapp is number one. Katie Ellis and I, and Katie's one of the other speakers, when we often speak, we say, well, what does Greg think? Well, what does Greg suggest? That's what we do because he's an expert. He's been working in disability law since the passage of the ADA. And I just thank Greg for his mentorship and his leadership throughout the state. Thank you, Greg.
Eli, thank you for that very gracious introduction. I appreciate that very much. It really does take a village, and it's all of us working together. Mayor Weber, members of the council, thank you for your proclamation and your support. And I have 2 minutes. I am not known for my brevity, so I will do my best here within the time allotted. And we've heard a little bit about New Mexico here today, Santa Fe being the first to adopt this proclamation. I'm going to take you back to 1992, to May 13, 1992, just down the street, to the courtroom of Judge Art Insinius, New Mexico District Court Judge, and he was ruling on an ADA lawsuit that had been brought by Protection and Advocacy. I was a very young attorney at the time and had been raising the prospects of ADA counts in a lawsuit that Protection Advocacy was filing against the Human Services Department. Things often stay the same. That lawsuit, like what we hear today in the news, involved cuts to Medicaid. And these were this time, however, state cuts, not federal cuts. And they were very draconian. They would have restricted Medicaid recipients to no more than 2 doctor's visits per month, no more than 3 prescriptions per month. They would have eliminated coverage for hearing aids, eyeglasses, dental procedures. They would have eliminated coverage for durable medical equipment items. In addition to that, also protective adult undergarments would have no longer been covered, and many other significant cuts to Medicaid. So we were reading a lawsuit, and we looked at the possible claims, and one of the items that we brought was a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, keep in mind that while the law was passed on July 26 of 1990, most of the provisions did not take effect until a couple of years later. The provisions governing state and local governments took effect on January 26, 1992. So our lawsuit, which was an alternative writ of mandamus, basically a kind of injunction, was arguing that the state had failed to comply with mandatory non-discretionary obligations, specifically the obligation to comply with the ADA. I had the honor of putting on the ADA case, and at the beginning of the case, Judge Insigne said that he didn't think the ADA would apply, but if it did, he would give it very little weight. I had expert witnesses, including Ann Thomas, who was an attorney who did a great deal of work in the early days of the ADA to educate the bar. She was at the time the Equal Opportunity Programs Director at UNM. Joe Cordova, the NFB Director, President. And at the end of the day, Judge Insigne heard the application of the ADA and heard how people who were blind, who were deaf or hard of hearing, people who used wheelchairs or other mobility devices were not able to participate in a public hearing on the proposed Medicaid cuts. How it was not accessible to people who are deaf, to people who are blind or have low vision. The hearing itself, there were over 500 people present, had to be moved across the street to the roundhouse where it could be held in an accessible place. He said at the end of the day, in talking of the ADA, I guess it's a whole new world. And a couple weeks later, he issued his ruling. And he enjoined the state from continuing with the Medicaid cuts. And he said in his ruling the following. He said, they, the Human Services Department, didn't give the disabled any thought. They were as though they were invisible men and women. After the Americans with Disabilities Act, they will be invisible no longer. I think that really says it. We still have much work to be done, but working together, we can continue to make sure that we're all seen and heard, and we can really change the world for people with disabilities. Thank you very much.
I'm in for a terrible MC, but I feel like saying, give it up for Grip Trap again. That was an expose on the law, and probably one of the first ADA civil rights cases, not just in New Mexico, but probably nationally. It's a national leader in this world. Thank you, Greg. Next up is Katie Ellis. Katie and I actually, I don't know, Katie, if you remember, we had met a bit during COVID, or a bit before COVID, but we really started talking when it came to access issues downtown Santa Fe. And that goes without saying, there's a lot of work to be done with our sidewalks when it comes to ADA. and best practices and a lot of opportunity as well. And a lot of it is opportunity cost. You have to weigh different factors. As my old commissioner in New York would say, accessibility costs money. So we have to think about how do we invest in infrastructure and make it accessible, and also so that we don't have to go back and fix things, as many people know. That's what the costs. So those are the conversations we're talking about, streets and access, and evolving from there, and seeing Katie grow into a leader when it comes to disability advocacy, but also just advocacy for the community she leads. So I want to thank Katie, and Katie is going to be awesome. Go for it, Katie.
Okay, now that we're all not sitting ducks, hopefully you dry off, because I know I have so much dry off. I want to take a moment and just say, look at all of us in this room. That is what community is. That is what ADA is. ADA is all about community. If we think about it, most of us in this room have been in the spectrum of when the ADA wasn't present, when the ADA was just born, and now when the younger generation is growing up with the barriers that the generation where the ADA wasn't present and where the ADA was just enacted came into play. The reason I say that is I am 31 years old. Who in this room can tell me how old the ADA is? 35 years old. That means we still have a long way to go. Because I still plan to be here for a long time and giving the state and Santa Fe the advocacy that it needs, right? Because who here uses Siri or has an iPhone or an Android? All of us do, right? That technology came from the ADA. Who here goes to the airports and gets frustrated because you can't find your way around the airport? And so you go and look at a monitor, well, not me and Mr. Trap, but you go and look at a monitor to find your gate. That happened because of the ADA. You know, myself and Mr. Trap, we just kind of listen and hope for an intercom, or we hope for an attendant to come by, or unless it's the Albuquerque Sunport, I can get around that thing like nobody's business. But I say all this because why? It matters. At any point in your life, you will enter into the disability community. The disability community is a community that you can join at any time, whether it be temporary or permanent. And I want you to understand one thing, because I know it's hard to do. The disability community is one of the most welcoming, accepting communities out there, because it encompasses all other communities. The indigenous community, the Hispanic community, the LGBTQ plus community. It encompasses every single one of them. And so, yes, I know when you turn on the news, and if you know me, you know I like to watch the news. Not right now. If you turn on the news, you're just like, oh my goodness. I feel that way too. And that's okay to feel that way. But I encourage you to keep advocating. Because myself, Mr. Trump, and Mr. Fresquez, we are one voice, we are three voices that are very, very powerful. But we are not the voice. You know who is the voice? Every single one of you sitting in this room. So congratulations for your work. Congratulations for your advocacy. And let's continue to move forward the ADA and to move forward the community and make sure everyone's voice is just as powerful as any of the three of us standing up here today. Thank you.
right, is your MC. Give it up for Katie Ellis. When Katie says she watches the news, that's not true. She watches specifically, it's half true, specifically she watches C-SPAN. I will call her up and she'll be like, what are you doing? I'm watching C-SPAN, hour 14 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow. So Katie Ellis, her ambitions are there, and she will be running for either a state senate, state house, or federal Congress. Absolutely, she's going to do it. So thank you, Katie. Next up is a really unique guest, and I reached out to him last week, just out of the blue, texted him, and we had a very short conversation, and it said, Counselor, would you be able to come to Santa Fe and speak? And he said, 100%, absolutely, no questions asked. This is something he wanted to come and speak about, and I think it's fabulous to have our communities outside of Santa Fe, because we're all interconnected. In particular, our sister cities north of us. And so, Counselor, I appreciate you coming here today. And by the way, we met at the Accessibility Awards, which we are going to be having again this year. It's going to be on July 31st with the State Cultural Affairs Department at the International Folk Art Museum. So more on that soon. But that's where we first met. Texted him on the blue. He's like, count me in. I'm all the way in. And so thank you, Counselor.
First, I want to thank Eli, and I want to thank Mayor Weber and the City of Santa Fe for having me here today. I really appreciate it. And just like Katie, I'm 33, I'm around the same age, so we were some of the first people impacted by the ADA. And the ADA is a very important law, and then just like Councilor Garcia said, it's surprising that it's only been around 35 years. It was signed into law by one of my personal inspirations, President George H.W. Bush, and I really am very appreciative of what he was able to do with Congress at that time. In fact, when they had his funeral service, I went and wrote, in Washington, D.C., I wrote thank you to him for the ADA in the book that was presented to his family for all the people who came to visit him at that time. I want to give you a little story, though. There was a young boy who, in Espanola Public Schools, his mother was told that he may need a diagnosis for Asperger's syndrome. And his mom searched all over the state of New Mexico and was only able to find one psychiatrist at that time, back in the year 2000, that could diagnose him. And so she came to Santa Fe. She was a school nurse, and would take her young boy to the psychiatrist. And one day that psychiatrist told her that her son would likely never be able to work or live on his own, and that she should prepare for that. And that young boy was me. A lot of people in the disabled community have heard stories like this. They're told what they can't do, or told what they're unable to be when they grow up. And it is very devastating to hear that news, especially for the people that are involved in those people's lives. And that's why it's important when we remember to fight for disability rights that our diagnoses do not define us.
Yes.
We can fight and be anything we wish to be. And with enough effort, enough time, and enough patience from both the societal structures around us and our families, we can do whatever we want. And that's why it's important to always never downplay the abilities of the disabled. Just because we may need to do things differently does not mean we are not just as able as everyone else. So I am trying my best in my position on the Espanola City Council to remind people about the ADA. And just recently, I have fought for and worked to write letters of support for our pools, Ranchitos and the Richard Lucero Center pool, to finally be ADA accessible. And that's the kind of thing that we always have to remember, is that we always have to constantly try to push forward and realize just because a piece of legislation is passed, just because it's written into law, does not mean that it's being enacted the way it needs to be. We need to be vigilant about making sure that things improve. So always be looking, always be talking to your elected officials about things that need improvement, because often we don't see it ourselves. We don't walk in the same shoes as everyone else. And we are often just unaware. And just that little bit of advocacy, just that phone call, that text, that Facebook message can make a huge difference. So keep up working for the disabled rights, and I'm proud to be a part of this, because I know what it's like to be told you can't do something. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Give it up for Councilor Ledoux. So this would have been the big moment where we would have raised the flag. And I do want to appreciate the mayor. Actually, it was Regina Wheeler, I think, on your team who had suggested 3 years ago, why don't we raise the disability pride flag? And I'm pretty sure I can say this truthfully, that this was the first raising of a disability pride flag in New Mexico, and it's caught on. So some other places have also been really inspired by this, including the state. So again, Santa Fe being the leader is fabulous, and I want to again thank the mayor. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the disability pride flag, and then the mayor will introduce our honorees, and we'll take some photos. And if folks are interested in taking some photos with the pride flag, let us know. And by the way, the pride flag was actually designed by the disability community, and it's evolved over time. At first, it had very bright colors, kind of a zigzag, and many people in the neurodivergent community and people with sensory disabilities found it to be overwhelming. So the newest design of the disability pride flag includes these different colors that represent different kinds of disabilities and access issues in the disability community. I believe it's green up.
There you go.
Green up. And I want to reiterate, everyone here today, I hope you're inspired. Come to the Disability Pride Parade. Share it with families and communities, because that's what the strength is. Right now, the Medicaid support systems, the disability service systems, there's a lot of conversation right now. And I think it really brings the community into those conversations when we have awareness around disability issues and disability causes. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor for the honorees.
Well, thank you, Eli. Once again, and I have to give credit to Eli and the community, we continue to find ways to innovate and bring new light and new opportunity and a new spirit, a fresh spirit into these ceremonies. So thank you for that. Rain or no rain, we've got our flags, and we've got two special honorees. And when I say your name, please do come forward, find your way forward, and we'd really like to recognize you for being this year's special honorees. First, we have Jojo Manuel. Jojo, come on. Welcome. So glad you're here. So glad you could be with us. And Vicky Medina, Vicky, come on up. Some of you folks from the prom that was just held, it was also a great celebration and beautiful recognition of the community, and everybody got their moment, everybody got a chance to be introduced, and it was a beautiful, beautiful event. And then today we get to do it again, Eli. So thank you for adding another layer of luster and celebration to this day. And if we imagine a flagpole right now, we'll pretend to raise the flag up high, everybody, and give it a big round of applause. Thank you so much for being here, and for being our guests, and for standing up, for sitting tall, for being strong, for speaking out, for representing the community, for you being you, and for being the special guests for today's celebration. We're going to keep doing this every year. So a big round of applause for everybody. Part of a big group photograph, one way or another. Find your way up here. We'll get everybody together who has the desire to be in a picture. If you need a little help, we can get some help. Everybody can participate. Nobody gets excluded. Come on up. We got some great t-shirts. We've got a great sense of community. Anybody else want to be part of this celebration? Don't be shy. Yeah. We've got some things to hold up. Eli, look at you. You're coming prepared with everything. All right. I'm going to put the mic down and hold the flag up. And Eli, what's our chant this year? Come on. 88 all the way. All the way with ADA. All the way with ADA. Happy birthday, ADA, and happy birthday to everybody who's here today celebrating with us. It's a great day. Rain or no rain.